Tatooine wasn't always the barren wasteland we know. Once, it was an ocean world beneath the twin suns. Today, only sand and monsters remain, and its most terrifying predator, the Krayt Dragon, may still carry echoes of the ocean past. When I learned that Krayts could swim through the dunes, I wondered, predators don't just master a skill like that out of nowhere, and thought maybe the Krayt Dragon once ruled the oceans of Tatooine. In this video, we'll dive into the speculative evolution of the Krayt Dragon, using real-world science to unravel how a sand-dwelling beast could have once been Tatooine's most feared ocean predator. According to Jawa legends and folklore, there was a time when great seas covered the planet's surface. But what happened? Well, according to Star Wars lore, especially the older Legends material, Tatooine was bombarded by catastrophic meteor impacts and orbital strikes by the Rakata. This in turn shattered its ecosystem, and its oceans eventually boiled away and the planet dried up. And as the oceans shrank, survival demanded transformation for its inhabitants. To understand that transformation, we need to rewind back to what I call the Tatooine Oceanic Era. A time when the planet was covered in vast seas, and a time when the ancestor of all modern Krayt Dragons ruled the deep. Meet the aquatic Krayt Dragon. This terrifying creature most likely had a long body, a powerful tail for propulsion, and I'm guessing 16 fin-like limbs, with 8 on each side. But we will get to why I think that later in the video. These limbs may have helped it steer through the water, much like how some prehistoric sea reptiles moved on Earth. Now, while 16 limbs might sound extreme, it's not unheard of. Many extinct predators, such as sea scorpions, had multiple appendages for swimming. The aquatic Krayt Dragon would have been the apex predator in Tatooine's oceans, hunting prey in deep waters, much like whales or mosasaurs. As Tatooine's oceans vanished, the aquatic Krayt Dragon was forced to adapt or die. Some may have already carried traits that gave them an edge on land, possibly sturdier limbs, maybe tougher hides, or even facultative air breathing. Others may have developed these features in response to the changing world. Either way, these survivors became what I'm calling the amphibious Krayts. These amphibious Krayts followed the water inland, clinging to shrinking lagoons, living on beaches, and straddling the line between the two worlds. These creatures most likely had webbed limbs, diminished gills, and skin tough enough to endure the binary suns. For a time, all surviving Krayts hovered in this amphibious stage, yet as the seas continued to disappear, and once they disappeared entirely, survival demanded specialization. Where a Krayt lived began to shape what a Krayt became. Some populations sought refuge in cliffs and rocky highlands, marking the first great split in Krayt Dragon evolution. Here, bulk and extra limbs were a liability. To be able to scale jagged walls and twist through narrow spaces, they needed agility, not mass. Over generations, these dragons shrank in size and lost limb after limb until only 4 remained. These became the Canyon Krayts. Now, biologists call this a trade-off, which is an adaptation that improves survival in one way, but comes at a cost of another. Evolution doesn't create perfect organisms. It shapes creatures to fit their environment. And while the Canyon Krayt gained agility, it sacrificed much more of its raw strength its larger cousins still wield. Now you might be wondering, how do we know these dragons lost limbs instead of starting out with just 4? After all, couldn't their ancestors have been 4-limbed too, with the other 2 species of Krayt dragons somehow gaining extra over time? That's a very important question. But in evolution, the pattern usually runs the other way. You see, on Earth, snakes lost their legs, whales shed their hind limbs, and even desert amphibians slimmed down their bodies to save energy. Limb loss is common. Limb gain, on the other hand, is extremely rare. Now that we've seen how one branch slimmed down into the Canyon Krayt, let's look at the next biggest split in the family tree. While some dragons shrank for agility, others kept their massive size and swimming abilities. This was the second great split, where size and power became the winning strategy. In the open deserts, prey was scarce and fast-moving. A lone bantha, a dewback, or an unwary traveler could vanish across the sands before a sluggish hunter even reached it. To survive, the greater Krayt had to evolve for speed and efficiency. By shedding 6 limbs, it streamlined its body down to 10, 5 on each side, making it a faster hunter beneath the dunes. This adaptation gave it the agility to chase scarce prey across the open desert. But evolution had one more trick in store. Those same muscles that once powered swimming strokes in Tatooine's ancient oceans found a new purpose beneath the sands. This is what biologists call exaptation. This is when a trait evolves for one role, but later gets repurposed for another. Feathers, for example, were first evolved for warmth and insulation, but later became the very structures that let birds fly. In the greater Krayt's case, movements that once cut through the ocean now turned through sand, letting it swim through the dunes with the same grace its ancestors once did in the oceans. The Leviathan Krayt, the massive beast we see in The Mandalorian, followed a similar but slightly different path. Unlike the greater Krayt, it retained much more of its ancestral aquatic design. Remember earlier, limb loss is common in evolution, but limb gain is extremely rare. The fact that the Leviathan still carries all 16 limbs strongly suggests its ocean-dwelling ancestor had the same body plan. For the Leviathan, keeping those limbs wasn't a burden, it was a strength. It is likely that the Leviathan evolved in a place where prey was larger and more plentiful, unlike the greater Krayt Dragon. A place where maybe entire bantha herds roamed the wastes, offering feasts that could sustain it for months. Power for this dragon mattered more than speed. By keeping its full limb count, the Leviathan turned its once aquatic swimming strokes into sheer force, using its many limbs to swim through the dunes and overpower large amounts of prey. Instead of evolving into an agile stalker like the greater, the Leviathan became a juggernaut, and capable of hibernating for months after a massive kill. Krayt Dragons aren't just terrifying monsters, they're evolutionary survivors. From oceanic origins to sun-blasted sands, they adapted, split, and specialized to endure one of the harshest worlds in the galaxy. They didn't merely survive the death of an oceanic world, they became the nightmares that rule what came after. Now again, this is not anywhere in Star Wars canon or everything, this is absolutely speculative. But this is based on the same logic many scientists use to piece together the story of life here on Earth. If you have some other theories of maybe how they evolved, feel free to drop them in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking and subscribing, and check out my other Star Wars science videos. If you want to read any more about evolution or anything else we talked about, all the sources are in the description. Until the next video, may the Force be with you.